How you doing, everyone? Welcome to the Irish column on the Irish channel. Slightly delayed there today, just getting things set up, but hope everyone can hear me there this evening. I have a few things to cover. Tonight's show will be a bit about the candidates that are running at the moment for the local elections. And I might just even introduce myself here. I know I've been on for the last few weeks with Paul, but I am announcing that I'm going to be running also as a candidate for South Kildare. So yeah, I did this. I just decided to do that recently because there was nobody running, as far as I could see, for a nationalist party in South Kildare. So I thought better me than nobody else, to be honest. And really, I suppose it's hard to sit and watch as well if nobody is taking the mantle for certain areas. Then there was a bit of a call in there to grab it. It's been tough watching Ireland over the last couple of years, so it's good to be a candidate and trying to do a few things. I do have another candidate, Martin Murphy, with me from Tipperary. I'm going to bring him on, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening in Tipperary at the moment, among a few other teams this evening. So, welcome along, everyone. Martin, up. Well, Martin, how are you doing?
To unmute myself, you've caught me eating cake.
Have you?
One of the kids' birthdays today, so there's cake in the house.
Oh yeah, no hassle at all. My kid's birthday as well yesterday, actually.
Oh, very good, very good. Yeah,
Martin, fair play to you for coming on, saying a few words there. You're running in Tip region.
Yeah, Carrick LEA in Tipperary.
Very good.
It's a 5-seater. There's only 7 candidates running, so the odds are quite good. The odds are quite good in the area.
How's the canvassing going?
Yeah, very good, very, very positive. Like yourself, it was a case of, look, we all know what's going on in the country. We're seeing it every day. We're seeing the destruction of our nation, and just like yourself, I had to do something. I had to, I won't be able to look at my kids in the future without being able to say at least I tried or I did something. You know what I mean? So you just have to, like, look, yourself, it takes a bit of courage. You're going to take a bit of slack. You're going to take a bit of heat for doing it. But it's too important not to.
Yeah. It is. I think I felt that a bit myself. I could see people in the chat saying there's no one going for certain places and what's going on. I literally registered this week gone.
Good stuff. Well done.
I barely got in through the gate for the Irish Freedom Party, and but like that as well. I think it's a bit scary with the laws that are coming through, and in general, our safety seems compromised, our democracy, our speech seems compromised.
Absolutely, and that's why it's important to run this time, because if things don't go our way, we might get a chance again. Under hate speech laws, we might be disbarred from actually running or being involved in communities, or we could be in prison. Do you know what I mean? If we allow the country to keep going the way it is, people who voice their opinions against the government will be persecuted. It's the only way to describe it.
Yeah, and I have a bit of a story about that as well. I know we've so I'm waiting also to jump in, but I had to resign as a civil servant to run. So I did that on Tuesday gone, when I decided I was going to run, because when I downloaded nomination papers, it said you couldn't be a court registrar or a civil servant. And I was on career break, and to be honest, I wasn't really too thrilled about going back, given everything that's happening with the country. And I didn't want to be on I felt a bit like playing, like, you're on two sides or something there a little bit. And not necessarily even that hard, but it's, I don't really hand anyone a hate speech, bill or citation by any means. That's the opposite of what I want to be doing. I can't believe that we've been discussed in Ireland. So it's just, that I just said, look, at the last minute. Now, she wasn't too happy now, and I said I was completely taken away from a job like that.
I had a similar experience when I announced that I was going to do it. First of all, well done, because the courage that takes to actually give up your paycheck to do this, that's amazing. It really is, because we're sort of held and trapped by debt and bills. That's the world we live in. You know what I mean? And everything is measured on, you know, can you pay your bills at the end of the month? And it can be sometimes terrifying to we'll say take a leap of faith kind of thing, to you know what I mean, leave that behind and go, well, I'm gonna try something else. Especially when you're, I'd say we might be similar ages, you know what I mean? You know, when you're sort of in the period of your life where you're supposed to be secure, if you know what I mean. Well done to you, because that's terrifying. I have similar but different work issue at the minute. I can't talk about it on air, but I've had this, me running has cost me greatly as well. It's so, but like I said,
and that's an important point, Marvin. It's an important point, because even just the two of us speaking here have that common thread. You know, what's the chances that there are the only two people that are running who have them issues? It's a very low chance, you know. Like, this is the thing. This is what people are sacrificing. And I've been on the show a few times. I'm relatively new to co-hosting with Paul usually, and I've seen other candidates come on. And I've said, fair play to you, well done. And because it is a sacrifice like that, and it really, like, I don't think people know probably what you sacrificed or what I sacrificed, in terms of, in a time where inflation is pretty high, mortgage rates are pretty high. If young kids, you know, you're eating birthday cake there. Presumably, one young kids. I have 3 young kids.
Funny enough, they're not that young, but we still do cake.
It's always good reason for cake.
Just a tradition in our house. Yeah. So even the adult, I've adult children, they still get cake. Yeah.
But there you are. There is that whole there is a bit of a sacrifice to be made here, and people are making it. So, and fair play to you for doing it. You know, when you see an opportunity there where you can see the polls are saying that people are interested more in these nationalist parties, that they're tired of, and I've been hearing people, I haven't been able to get canvassing yet, with my poster isn't ready yet, but I've been hearing people saying that it's 99.9% positive when they're knocking at doors. You find the same?
Yeah. So I've actually been canvassing for 2.5 months now. I went out very early, because I'm an unknown, and I just got my leaflets done really early, really fast, and I've had 3. You could call them negative interactions, but they're not really. They're more neutral interactions, and that was it. It was basically one lady just sorry, Hermann, for this now, but she said, Hermann Kelly, no thanks, to handing me back the leaflet. And there was another lady who just said, no, I don't vote because all politicians are the same. And then just another woman just looked at the leaf and said, no thanks. And that's been the extent of the negative interactions that I've had. I've had a lot of neutral interactions where, you know, you can't get a read of people, or people are just kind of going, will this person go away from my door? But the majority, what I've learned from canvassing is I wasn't aware of the pain that's out there. I think I'm suffering because my fuel bill has gone up, and it's hard to keep 2 cars on the road, and my wife had to go back to work, and, you know, we just, you know what I mean, struggling to make ends meet, stuff like that. But there is, oh my God, just when you actually start going into towns and into housing states and start talking to people, there is pain out there that you can't imagine. You just cannot imagine the amount of young couples I met who are living in their parents' houses. I'll just tell you a quick story. Kind of, there's two things that kind of resonate with me, and one happened today. When I was at council a few weeks ago, I met a couple who were asking about housing, and I'm there. Look, number one, I'm not elected yet. Number two, I'm not going to lie to you. I said housing is going to be an issue in this country for the next 5 or 10 years because of government policy. But this couple was on the housing list, and the council offered them a B&B. So they were kind of couch surfing. They had a 1-year-old child, but they were told they couldn't bring the 1-year-old child with them for insurance reasons. So they had to decline that offer, and because of that, they were taken off the housing list. So that's what the council offered them. We can put you up in a B&B. You can't bring your child with you, and if you decline it, you're gone off the housing list. There's something seriously wrong with that. The other one was today. A gentleman contacted me today, and I'm still kind of not. It's unresolved, and he contacted me because he had no food, he had nothing to eat. and he couldn't get any help. And I was saying it's to Paul, and he was I can't get any support from anybody till next Wednesday. So I don't know all the circumstances of this guy's background or what his major issues are. I know he has housing, but he was literally hungry. And I spent a lot of today just trying to look up what's open, what's available on a weekend, what's available on a Sunday. Is there any supports there? And there isn't. There's nothing.
Yeah.
If you hit hard times on a Saturday or Sunday or a Friday evening, there's very little there for you. There's very little there for you. Like I said, I spent about 2 hours just kind of researching numbers. I found some community activists and stuff like that live down his neck of the woods, and just gave them the numbers. And that's what the fact that there's nothing else you can do other than that is it does make you feel a bit helpless, but also it just opens your eyes to there's actually Irish people that are actually hungry. They're actually literally hungry. They've nothing. They've absolutely nothing. And the fact that down the road, 10 minutes down the road, the government is spending 50+ million on a plantation site in Clonmel, yet there's Irish citizens hungry. I can't quantify that in my head. I can't get it to make sense to me. So it's very strange, very strange situation we're in at the moment.
Yeah, and do you think they seem to be deliberately pushing people out the door, out literally on the plains? You can't buy anything here, you can't rent anything here, you can't start a family here. And the farming sector is being killed with this whole green agenda. We're exporting more than we're even keeping to ourselves. This is the whole part of. Someone's asking me about the EU recently. If we leave the EU in the big game, can we have enough stuff to produce? And we said, of course we do. We export more than we actually keep. And we import.
As a nation, we're actually pretty food secure. Now you can obviously do better. We've lost a lot, but if you just took your fisheries back, people probably aren't aware how big our coastal waters are. Like our coastal waters go nearly to Iceland. And people they're not aware that the thing our coastal waters is just a little line outside our national waters, just outside the island. But we have huge fisheries that we gave up to the EU. We were told joining the EU, look, you can have farming or fishing, you can't have both. And we gave up fishing and took farming. And 30-something odd years later, they're taking farming anyway. So look. The EU one is complex. Our party, what our party line is on it. It's going to be very, very difficult. And you're talking, it's going to be generational. If you know what I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. But the biggest thing is to slow down, and undo the bureaucracy of the EU and try and pull it back to the EEC in the short to medium term. That would be all countries take their sovereignty back. There's a huge movement across Europe. Everybody's aware of it. Media might be trying to stifle it, but there's a huge movement all across Europe, especially some of the Eastern Bloc countries, where everybody's on the same page. We know what we're doing. There's going to be a plan there, and all we have to do is get our MEP candidates across the line. And there's going to be a block of nationalistic MEPs there that will put the sovereignty of their own nations first, which would benefit us all in the long run.
Absolutely. You have good people all in the EU, like you said. And I think people are ready for the change. It reminds me of, did you see, the famous stock market that happened event during COVID where GameStop and all the small fish kind of got together and they kind of, it seems like that now nearly with the independents, the National Party candidates running, that people, they're ganging up and the numbers shot up all for out of, desperation, like people who didn't have families in politics, and you can see the usual signs on the road, Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin, and the crack there, kind of, their family was in that politics, and like even them parties aren't the same as years ago, so it's hard to even justify why people would run for certain parties.
I wouldn't say they're the same. Would say my opinion would be that Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have moved so far from what they're supposed to be, that although their grassroots might think they're still the same party, their leadership are not the same as what they used to be. They've shifted so far to the left They've gone way beyond socialism. So there's no centre party at the minute. Like, you know what I mean? In an ideal world, what you'd want to happen is for grassroots Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil to just expel their top 30 people, just get rid of them and start again, and pull back to the centre, and then a strong nationalist party could support centre Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, but they would, like I said, they would have to have a massive call. There's a lot of people that cannot be forgiven. I mean, that would be probably what would be best for the country at the minute. The nationalist parties, although we're probably going to do very, very well in the local elections, and I would imagine we're going to do extremely well at MEP level. We probably don't have the we'll say that the caliber is probably the wrong word, but the people with enough knowledge and enough of them to actually run as TDs, to actually be able to, you know what I mean? You can elect a populist candidate, but there's no point in doing that unless they can actually have a skill set or a background, or you know what I mean? They can actually do the job. The problem with Irish politics is there's a lot of people in positions that, Simple Simon is a prime example of a guy who is now the leader of supposed leader of the country. And I'm sorry, the man is an uneducated buffoon. And even if he was educated, he'd still be a buffoon. You know what I mean? He's just a silly man. It's the only way I can describe him. So we need experts. We need people who are, you know, if you are looking for a Minister of Health, you need somebody who actually is an expert in health and probably economics as well. You know what I mean? So we need that. It'll probably be 1 or 2 election cycles before we are strong enough to actually contest actual leadership of the country. But at present, we probably have enough people across the nationalist movement to actually act as a 8 or 9 TD block that could actually prop up a centrist government. But if that is to happen, some of the establishment parties would need to have a massive cull, because I don't think any of us would be ever interested in going into business with any of those parties in their current form.
It seems like there's a bit of democracy might have gone out the window with the current partners, party since COVID, and they're all on board with that. I might show a clip. I brought up a clip of Michael McNamara and discussing the kind of Green Party agenda. I'll play it here real quick, and you can comment on it and see what you think yourself. We'll just see if I can grab it here.
If this is indeed the bill of a generation that's going to tackle climate change, well, I simply don't understand why you won't debate it. What is so frightening about debate? If you're confident in your position, stand over it. I appreciate that you feel you have the answers, but I would hope that you don't feel that we're all living in the midst of a messiah. I don't know whether you're a Stone Roses fan or not, but you know, the approach that you've taken, I am the resurrection and I am the light, because I'm not going to listen to any other amendments from any other deputies. But what is it about government? What is it once you get inside that building of government buildings that you think that you have all of the answers and nobody else has any answers, and that you have a monopoly on truth, and there be badness on the other side, that you can't even debate it? If we in Europe are going to consume animal-based products, then let us at least consume animal-based products that are produced in a place that is least damaging to the environment, that produces least carbon emissions. And your bill simply penalises that. And if we produce all of the milk for Europe, well, that's a good thing, not a bad thing, because we can produce milk in Ireland with least carbon emissions. If we're going to eat beef, and I have a vested interest, I am a beef producer, but I'd like to think that I cherish the environment. I'd like to think that I want to pass it on to the next generation. So let it at least be produced off a grass-based system where there's carbon sequestration, rather than in intensive feedlots, which are growing in popularity in Ireland and are the dominant way of producing beef in other European states. The issue of our generation, and you won't allow a debate on it.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Matt. You did? Did you?
Yeah,
weren't
no,
able to see that?
just a blank screen. Yeah, I saw some banners coming up along the bottom, but nothing actually
No,
played.
I wonder if anyone in the comment section can to let me know if that came up at all. Well, we bring Liam in. Liam is someone you invited along, Michael.
Hello, can you hear me?
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, so
Liam is someone.
Liam is a resident. I'm living across the road
Yeah.
from where the Clonmel plantation is happening.
Okay.
He's one of the founding members of the Clonmel Concerned Citizens Group.
Grant. Okay. Liam, how are you doing? Looks like people in the comments saw it there, but maybe I don't know why you went blank for yourself. Liam, how are you doing? Welcome onto the show.
Good to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Liam, you're part of the Clonmel Concerned Citizens. Do you want to talk to us about what's happening in Clonmel at the moment for people who don't know?
Well, basically, less than 100 metres from the estate, there seems to be putting some sort of development in there for 82 modular homes. There was no due process. There was no consultation. There was no letters. There wasn't even a phone call or an email sent out to any of the residents in the area. Now, there's well over 1,000 houses between the four estates on the hill that's adjacent to this site. And from speaking to people at the doors, none of them have any contact from the local council about it. And it's going to be a massive development.
I can just see a buffering screen there for Liam.
Oh, I can see him okay, Martin. Maybe is it any chance that your Wi-Fi dropping out?
I'm going to turn off my camera there for a second and see.
Yeah. Liam, yeah, I've seen some videos on this now. I've seen actually collected a few. So I've seen did the mayor or the town mayor say that there could be up to 800 houses going in there, but or was it back and forth saying he didn't say that, or what have you been hearing?
The mayor has been playing the blinder, as all the local councillors have been, in terms of ducking and diving the issue and pretending you don't know. I've emailed certain councillors down there, and I've had to wait 10 or 12 days to get a reply. And the basic reply is that the local authority has nothing to do with this development, that it's at Roderick O'Gorman's desk, which is ludicrous. I mean, if the local authority cannot do anything about it, if they have nothing to do with it, well, what good are they as a local authority?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I've seen videos on this kind of, well, two sides of it on TikTok and the likes of that, where people were saying, you know, you have the opposition, some of it controlled, some of it just, I suppose, could you say, out of touch with really what's going on, I suppose, and the threats that may come. Is there word that building or something might begin in the morning again, that they're going to be arriving back on site? It's
hard to know because they've had. Now, I want to make this clear. There was equipment damaged in the site on Thursday night. There was equipment set fire. The protesters that are on site had nothing to do with that. We didn't even have prior knowledge of it. In actual fact, our own campsite that we built there, just standing out of the rain, was burnt as well. So, it was a complete shock to us when we discovered it, as it was to everybody else in the area. But I think what's going to happen is it's subcontracted by CISC to a company called Hart Civil. And I think what's going to happen now is Hart Civil are going to find it very difficult to procure leasing on equipment for the site, because we met with the owner of Kappa White Hire, who had the two machines leased in there, and one of which was completely written off due to the fire. And he was livid this morning telling us, he was absolutely livid, because what he said was that he wasn't given any indication where the machines were going to be used or what they were going to be used for. He just said that they were leased out to do groundworks. Had he had known prior to the lease what we're going to be used for, he would have declined it, because of obvious the dangers that are involved. You see, it's quite a complex issue where this camp is being built, because there is our estate, there's 3 other estates, but then on top of the Haywood Road there's also a halting site.
Mm-hmm.
and those people up there are not one bit happy about it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so it's
and are they joining in with you? Are they communicating with you, the people on the Halton side?
They have been very open and honest in terms of how they feel. That's as much as I'm prepared to say. I don't know anything else about what they want to do or who they want to contact, etc. They do their own thing. I think there's 4 separate families up there in about 7 homes. Like, again, the Halton site was deemed a temporary situation 35 years ago, but here we are today, and it's still temporary.
Yeah. And tell me, Liam, did you? I might show a clip from Clonmel. Did you see the last clip I played? Did it play okay on your?
Perfect. Yeah. Michael McNamara. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Let me just take a look here. Look, I have a clip here to show.
Are you home?
Yeah, he's home.
He's standing with us. Well done. If anyone can give this fella a job, please contact us. Please. Okay. Are you home?
No, you seen them, Liam, did you? That was just, I suppose, for anyone who wasn't aware of the situation, going in there, and that young fella walking off site. In fairness to him, I think they set up a GoFundMe for him, and
we did. Yeah, we set up a GoFundMe for him on 5 o'clock on Friday evening, and by 10 o'clock Friday evening, he had contacted us to say to shut it down because the amount it had reached was more than anyone could have expected. I think in the final total was something like €10,800.
Really?
So he asked us to shut it down, which we did do, and we also got him. He was offered about 20 different jobs with local companies, and he took a job which he's starting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.
Which is great because it just shows, I know people are out there fighting for their livelihoods and they're afraid. They probably feel like, these people are right, but I need to pay my bills, and they're caught in between. But like that, the GoFundMe said, the community has supported them, which is great to see. It'll give, I suppose, it will give a good sense that, a bit of security that we're not going to write you off like the government has. We'll look after you, and like that. Even him asking to shut it down, is amazing. I think are we losing Michael there? Is he's popping in and out? I think he's had to dropping out completely. I was trying to catch him. I seen actually. I'll play another video there. I seen a camp set up there. Maybe a lot of these people. There's probably a big enough gang is out there. I'd say at the moment, is there?
Yeah. So the camp. There's Martin back there now.
Yeah, Martin. Did you see any of them videos?
No, I'm having some internet connection issues there. I'll jump back in, so I didn't see the videos. I've seen it online plenty of times. Yeah.
Yeah, I also have Hermann Kelly, who I might add in if he can to the stage. He is the leader of the Irish Freedom Party. How are you doing, Herman? How's it going?
Hi, I'm very well indeed. I'm in great form. I think it was a very successful day in Roscommon. There was a community rally against the 50 DP Centre for 52 unvetted males in Castlerea in Roscommon, and there was a crowd of over 100 who went there. And I must say I'm very pleased and proud that 5 members of the Irish Freedom Party, 5 candidates, I believe, 5 candidates from the Irish Freedom, 5 members, 4 candidates for the Irish Freedom Party were turned up to support Justin Slaman who's LEA. He's a local election candidate in Castlereagh there in Roscommon.
Oh, yes.
He helped organise the event. He turned up. He spoke. I turned up to support Justin and local people for standing up for themselves and security of their own hometown. James Conway from Sligo travelled from West Sligo to support, and Doran McMahon from Spittle in Connemara South. He turned up as well, and actually went there with Dermot Gaffney. We went there. I've got a new what do you call it? Irish Freedom Chariot, and we're now touring the country, and we'll be getting the thing wrapped, and we get a bit of music as well, and we're going to have a real proper freedom tour around the whole way around the country. It was a very good day. You know, there were local people. We had a great talk with people afterwards, and a lot of mullers are very concerned about the security of their hometown. So fair play to those people. And you know what? It was great because unlike the national media, who will absolutely slate us and people like us into the ground, the write-up in the Roscommon Herald, which is up online now, is very, very positive and very factual. It just states it as it is. And I took an opportunity to slag the living daylights, and as did other people, give Ming Flanagan, who's a native of Castlereagh, a good old tongue lashing, because he's betrayed the people who put him into power, and it was disgraceful that he would use his own daughter, or as I call them, Ming Flanagan's offspring, to attempt to close down the rally as they did during the week. They tried to shut it down, but over 100 people turned up to say, we're not leaving, and we're not going to accept any instructions from people like you.
Yeah, it's great to see it. I can see, you know, the chats are great. There's a lot of activity going on out there. Martin is back.
Sorry guys. I just I kicked the router there, so it seems to be working again, and shouted at all the people in the house to get off the internet.
Yeah, we were showing a few videos there, Herman, of Clonmel. Seems to be a few disgruntled people there at the moment. Did you see them when you were waiting in the lobby?
I did, yes. And it was great to see that young man have the principle and all this sensitivity, maybe, to see that, you know what, that my fellow compatriots are very agitated and very unhappy and scared of what's going to happen in Clonmel. So fair play to that guy for walking off, telling his former employer to get stuffed about the security of Ireland comes before getting a few bob to pay the rent for this month. And I'm very pleased to see that people supported him financially. He's got plenty of job offers, and he's got a job, as you said earlier, a job starting on Monday at 8 o'clock. Fair play to the young man. Yeah, if only there was more people like him. I did notice, I was following the Clonmel events as closely as I could. I know Martin Murphy. Actually, I give you a shout out on GB News there on Friday, Martin. I presume the Christmas card is in the post now. I tried to keep a close eye on what was happening, and you know what? It seemed to be the only people actually supporting the thing or working there were actually all foreigners. You know, and it seemed to me, anyway, from what I saw online, it was the Irish guys had walked off, and it was only foreigners left to do the business of plantation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What did you see there, Martin?
Look,
you're like unlike myself, Martin, because I got a very bright light here. You can see you're very modest. You're doing the soft focus, and with the subtle and artistic shadow.
Absolutely, yeah. It's all about lighting. Look, I'll be honest with you. Look, Liam is the man to talk to about Clonmel. I've been in and out once, twice, and I was with them on day one. But Liam is the spokesman there for Clonmel, and he should tell you the details about the group that's involved. Now, look, I know some of the people in there. They're the nicest bunch of people you'll ever meet, and the work they've done in a couple of weeks is actually amazing. It's astounding what they've done and the community they have behind them. But look, I'll let Liam talk because Clonmel, you know what I mean. Liam literally lives a stone's throw away from where this plantation is going, so he's the man. He's the man to talk. So fire away there. So just in relation to the workers and what you're seeing and what we'll say the thoughts are, and I would say maybe the effect that you think it's going to have on the town in the long run.
You hearing us, Liam?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah, sorry, she have a kettle boiling in the background here.
Yeah. So did you hear what Martin was saying there?
Yeah, so basically, the local authority, including the mayor, have basically tried to absolve themselves of any kind of blame for this situation by saying that it's in Roderick O'Gorman's department and that they have no say over it, which to me is ludicrous. I think it's just a get out of jail card for these people, especially with the local elections coming up. It's mind-boggling, really, when you think about what they're trying to do up there, in terms of not having planning laws in place, etc., etc. I mean, just the other day, they tore down a wall that was over 100 years old, and they pulled down bushes and trees in the middle of nesting season. No regard for anything, just went in with a digger and just done it. Do you know?
Yeah, they're really like they don't care about the communities at all. It just shows you, isn't it? It's a real lack.
Yeah. So if you were to look at this purely from, let's just say, we look at it from the point of view of the HSA. So basically, if you were building a small extension in your house, or you'd a contractor in doing work for you, or you operate something like that, you'd have fencing up. There would be about 7 or 8 different safety signs outside in relation to PPE, in relation to other hazards, in relation to hard hats, in relation to, you know what I mean. So we all know those warning and hazard signs. You'd also have, when there's we'd say work's going on, you'd have machine operators, you'd have spotters, you'd have areas cordoned off. Every single bit of that was circumvented. I'd love for the HSA, and I'm actually, if anybody who's working in the HSA is actually on, I'd love them to go down and just audit one of these sites, one of these plantation sites, because it's not just the planning laws that are being circumvented. Every other single safety law and we'd say ecological law and environment law that we have are also being circumvented in relation to these plantations. And look, if the government want to play that game, that you know what I mean, that, oh well, the laws don't apply to them, there's a hell of a lot more of us than there is of them. And if we decided to take that approach towards these plantations, and we don't, but if we did, I mean, we'd win. You know what I mean? So, like I said, the social contract has definitely been broken. We're all aware of that. But the fact that they're now blatantly, we say, disregarding it and rubbing it in people's faces. I mean, the video of that wall being taken down. Like, I mean, any person working in the HSA could not stand over that and said that was a safe practice or a safe site. I suppose the other thing to take into account, there is a halting site in proximity to the plantation, and there's a lot of kids. There's an awful lot of kids. There's an awful lot of school traffic on that road. There's an awful lot of traffic on that road in general, because it's one of the access points to two of the biggest employers in town, up at the top of the Cashel Hill, and just complete disregard for any form of safety. That alone should be looked at. So I'm actually going to call out the Health Safety Authority of Ireland needs to start looking at the safety of these sites for everybody's well-being, because no more than I want to see a citizen or a protester injured, I don't want to see one of the workers injured either because of unsafe practices. And that's only one minor little thing to point out. Yeah. Obviously, the planning laws being circumvented, or you can't build a small shed or a small extension at the back of your house without jumping through 50 or 60 different forms and hoops and things like that. These can go ahead like that, and like I said, local councils are just passing it off. Oh, that's Roderick. It's not good enough. That's not how society is supposed to be run.
Isn't that? But I think it is exemplary of, or it shows that. Well, we're coming paddy last in our own country again, because you have the planning permission issue where they can get. You don't need, basically, if you're Ukrainian, if the government want to put Ukrainians in there, they don't need plan permission at all. So they tell us, right? Of course, it's completely different if you're an Irish person. And also the ARP, the accommodation and recognition payment, which Ukrainian refugees get, they get €800, which they can give to a landlord completely tax-free, where an Irish person, they will be the landlord who's letting the property is taxed on that. So if you're the Irish landlord, you're always going to give it to Ukrainian, and it's very unfair on Irish people. And when you look at the HAPs and the the percentage of non-nationals in social housing in Ireland released through Freedom of Information requests there, was it last year? Like, it's pretty much a third. It's just off the top of my head, about a third of all social housing was going to non-nationals across all the local councils. It's just unbelievable. So it just seems to be that we are treated like dogs in our own country, and that's just not on. We should be, as Irish citizens, Irish nationals, we should come first. The Irish state should be for the benefit of the Irish people, and not for housing the rest of the world.
Well, we're not going to be an Irish state for much longer, because there's a very interesting population chart doing circulation at the minute. We're very high up in the list for actual population growth, 3.5%, all through inward migration. That's absolutely terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying, because we will be a minority. And I know they're talking 2030, 2050, that kind of thing. The fact the population has increased so much in 2 years, you give it another 4 or 5 years of this current rate, we are a minority in our own country. And
fifth in the world.
The skirting of the planning laws for Ukrainians. So the Ukrainian payments are being cut in, it's probably 11 weeks now, is it? So any Ukrainians that are here are going to, well, a majority of them, and you know the Ukrainians I'm talking about, they're going to go elsewhere for a better deal. So I would strongly believe that although this plantation of Clonmel is being built for Ukrainians, by the time it's finished, it will not be Ukrainians going in there.
No.
And like I said, from the very, very get-go, myself and the Clonmel group, we spoke to Tip FM on the first day, and I spoke about the social unrest that's going to happen. The person who chose this location, because
we think.
Yeah, sorry, go on, Herman.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that the social cohesion, so you've got residents in a couple of estates across the road. You have a temporary halting site at the top of the hill. It's 35 years old. It was supposed to be temporary, so it's obviously overcrowded. And then you're going to have this plantation centre with I doubt it's going to be Ukrainians in there. I would strongly believe it's going to be other nationalities. So there is. You have too many cultures and too many different social aspects being lumped into this one area, and I personally believe that there's going to be massive civil and social unrest in relation to this, because, like I said, there already is issues. Look, Liam, you're not going to mind me saying this. I'm not knocking Clonmel. I used to live there and I worked there. So Clonmel already has a drugs problem. There is a massive drugs problem in Clonmel. Yeah. There is a massive crime problem in Clonmel. Obviously, usual inland town, under policed. There's massive issues in this town already. You plonk another couple of hundred people, and we're hearing thousands, because the modular home plantation is not the only area that's been looked at. IPAS are looking at another hotel in Clonmel, which is located in what would be considered the nightlife area of Clonmel. So if 80 or 90 men go in there to where 80, 90-year-olds go partying, I think, I'm not sure if it was Hermann or Anthony said it earlier, that we were kind of talking about why is the government doing it. It actually looks like they are trying to collapse every single town in this country. They're trying to get the towns to literally tear themselves apart. And it depends on how far you want to go down the rabbit hole, but it does look like the government does it on purpose. Sorry, Lee.
What baffles me about this whole situation, right? And it's a very basic question that people should be asking, but no one, the average person, doesn't seem to be able to ask this question. Like, we're bringing in people from Ukraine. They're fleeing a war. This is what we're being told, right? It's going on now for over 2 years. Why is it down to the Irish government to house people from the Ukraine when any person can take out their smartphone, open up booking.com, and you'll see hundreds of hotels available to rent in the Ukraine? So why is it the Irish government's remit to house those people in Ireland when there are already available hotels in the Ukraine? Why don't the Ukrainian government house those people in their own country in these hotels? And why can't the Irish people, the Irish government, house their own people in these modular homes? No one seems to be asking this question. Like, it's a very basic question. And
you
especially
actually you can't get near the government to actually ask that question directly. There's no access point. We can ask it online and we can ask it in forums like this, but the government, a bar gripped media, and they're trying to stop them as well. There's moves in the background to discredit them and have their license taken away. Nobody can get access to the government on a mainstream format, and nobody in mainstream media would dare ask a question like that, because
it's a very good point, actually. That why and if it's so cheap, as you say, like there's so, like, I remember some time ago looking at this booking.com and how many rooms were available for rent in hotels in Ukraine, and a lot, right? And we've all seen the videos of people partying in Ukraine. So there's plenty available. They're probably much cheaper. And wouldn't you think it would be much cheaper for one, they're not even members of the European Union, so why are we paying for these people at all, right?
Yeah.
Then we ask the second question, why have these people traveled in? I was in City West there about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I've seen these big, salubrious cars, big BMWs, big SUVs outside, all with Ukrainian plates. So they've traveled 5,000 miles across Europe. The reason they're coming here, if we're straight up, not because like Ireland or the great weather and it's good for your complexion, it's not too heavy and all this, it's because they're getting free stuff off the Irish taxpayer. So we can talk about legal means, we're going to stop this, to stop that. We will only stop these people coming here. We'll only send people away from here when we stop giving these people, to whom we know owe absolutely nothing, when we stop giving them free stuff, stop giving them high welfare payments, stop giving them accommodation, stop giving them free medical cards, stop giving their children schools. They're how they are. They are not our care. They are not our business. We have Irish people to look after. There's 14,000 homeless Irish people. We know there's 500,000 people who are, sofa surfing, or young people still living at home where they should be having, hopefully, a hope of an independent life. And that is a very good point. Why are these Ukrainians here at all? They shouldn't be. There's no need for them to be here. There's many hotels available to them in the Western Ukraine, which is not at war, which is actually peaceful. So why aren't they there? Because there must be a deeper reason that the Irish government wants to get a pat in the head from their real masters in Brussels.
Yeah.
And you know what? The Irish government seems to be intent in making Irish people a minority in our own country. And you may remember many years ago, there was a guy, Peter Sutherland. He was a former Fine Gael Attorney General. He was a former European Commissioner. He was head of Goldman Sachs. And he once gave a talk in the House of Commons Committee, maybe about 15 years ago, where he said the EU, its task is to break up the homogeneity of nations.
Yes, this is it.
And to break up the homogeneity of nations and make it right for multinational capital. That's what he said. And that, I believe, is what is happening. They want to get rid of. And do you know what else is scandalous? We talked there, Martin, about the planning permission. We also talked about ARP. But another aspect is about who could, to give you an example there, last week I was getting text off a guy. He's from Ballina, has lived in the UK for 20 years. He's very exercised and angry about what he sees happening to his hometown, because the Three Trees Hotel has been taken over. And basically he wanted to stand as an Irish Freedom Party candidate. And then he came back to me and says, I've looked it up, I'm really sorry, but I'm actually not allowed to stand because I'm not ordinary, no longer, even though I'm an Irish national and I'm very interested in Ireland. And I would love to go back and stand as a candidate because I believe people should speak up about what's going on. But I cannot stand because, according to the law, I'm not ordinarily resident in the Irish Republic now. And yet, some Somalian from Mogadishu can arrive in Ireland in a plane last week, and he can get, because it was before the 20th, if he registers to vote before the 20th, he can vote in our elections, and he can even stand as a candidate in Ireland in the local elections because he's now classed as ordinarily resident. So an Irish national cannot stand as a local election candidate, but some guy from Somalia, some foreigner who's just off a plane can stand here. And not only that, but the Irish government gives money to political parties to allow candidates of diversity to stand. It actually encourages these non-nationals and, I don't know, whatever. I know that Into got, I think, 11,500 off the Irish government to stand candidates of diversity in local elections, and I just find it ridiculous.
Yeah,
an Irish national can't stand.
Some of the parties took up to 48,000 to run to run non-nationals. Look, all it does is devalues what it means to be Irish. It devalues the concept of Irish citizenship. And I remember putting up a tweet before saying, what is the point of being an Irish citizen if you, as you said, you can land off the plane and there you go, there's your passport, there's your papers, you can vote, you can run, you can stand. Like I'll tell you the one good thing about Clonmel is Liam was even in the chat today about having folklore around the campfire, and it's getting us back in touch with our roots, because we actually as a nation, we got a bit of money and we forgot about what it meant to be Irish, and that's the truth. A lot of our problems we have to take responsibility for. The country got wealthy and we forgot who we were for a while.
Martin, you know, in saying that, Martin,
yeah,
we're not that far removed from very significant events in terms of countries and culture. You know, we only had a centenary not that long ago, a few years ago, and I think a lot of our great grandfathers or granddads would have been there. Mine certainly was, but I know like that you've seen in 2016 how that was still alive. And I think what Hermann was talking about there is probably why it's such a good thing that we do have people also running for the EU, like yourself, Hermann, because that is the core of it here, really, is that these parties that are in government at the moment, they're bought and sold already. They no longer represent the Irish people, and that's why there's no democracy there whatsoever. And this is, I think, like you're saying, like 3.5% population growth, it is a displacement or replacement. And Pat Kenny almost accidentally said it on the news during the week, because that's what we're seeing. And we're seeing the Irish population go down. We're told inflation's too high, you should only have one child. But we're bringing people in from these countries who have 8 or 9 kids, and they're being the infrastructure is being put in place for them to do that. So it's only a matter of time before we do become replaced if we do not stand up and get these people out of government now. And I think that's why the hunger is there. We're talking about the Irish Freedom Party going around and getting 99% positive reactions when they're canvassing. I think that's why, because people realize that these people are people who are standing up, who are saying that enough's enough, and they, you know, we know what's going on too. They can see it all, that there's no democracy there. They can see them pushing through a green agenda regardless of what people think.
Just on local candidates. Yeah, sorry, just on local candidates. Liam, would you give a shout out to the candidates that are standing independently?
You've had a BBC moment there, Martin.
What happened?
You've had a BBC moment where your daughter just walked in the door behind you.
She's
now the childminder will be coming through the door any moment.
You're not camera shy. And she's nearly 18 as well, so she's grand.
All right.
Yeah. No smallies in my house at all. Sorry, I was just saying there, Liam, would you give a shout out to the candidates that are running, the independent candidates that are running in Clonmel as an alternative to the establishment parties?
Yeah, so there's 2 candidates who are actually two of the founding members of the group. So one of them would be Dee Dempsey in Clonmel, and the other would be Shane James. Those 2 people are running as independent candidates in Clonmel.
She did a great video of the traveller kids going around on their horses, and was it one that I have a pony with a little trap, and then a little red-headed traveller boy was on a small wee pony. It's very cute, actually. It looked very cute.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Actually, the country became wealthy. Actually, I was saying today in Castlereagh, look, isn't it so those politicians who never turned up today, right? They never turned up. The councillors, Ming Flanagan, who's a Castlereagh native, they refused to turn up. And yet only recently they were all there for the unveiling of the Proclamation of Independence in right beside where we were speaking there today. And the thing is, when you think of it, like Ireland, or the 26 counties, it was declared a republic in 1949. They joined the Common Market in 1973. And it was really legally claimed to be a constitutional republic for less than 25 years. And yet now, as members of the European Union, as Anthony said there, these politicians, they don't work to represent either the Irish people or their interest. They are there as messenger boys from the EU to tell us what we should think, what we should do, how we should live our lives and organize our political life. And that is not on. That is not a sovereign, independent republic that the Irish people fought for before. And that's what we need to take back. And it's great, actually. Another thing you mentioned there was our birth rate. It's now roughly 1.5 for Irish people. We're well below birth rate. And what we should be doing, instead of taking in and being replaced in our own country, is we should help young Irish couples to get married, have children, give our children a future in our own country, that they can get houses here, that they can get jobs here, they can see a future in Ireland, and that Ireland is safe, it's secure, and we've got to stop. Another point that you mentioned earlier, Martin, was the whole thing about security, about friction. A multicultural society all across Europe, and this was even admitted by people like Merkel and Sarkozy and Cameron 10, 15 years ago, that multiculturalism as a system of organizing society does not work. What we are heading towards, what the Irish government is producing at the minute, is one that is low trust and high friction. Whereas before, in the past, because Irish people all had the same culture, was we lived in a low friction, high trust society, which is much better. It's much safer. It's much more pleasant. It's much more fun. But you know what? I was just driving around the country in the last few days, and we still, like, as much as we're annoyed about what whole this political class are running our country on the ground, it's still a beautiful place. You can still meet fantastic people in Ireland, still have good fun and great crack. But what we have to do is get rid of these people, this political class in Ireland, the unity party, the amalgamated class of politicians, media, NGO class, get rid of them before they replace us. Because do you know what? They really are intent on doing that.
Hermann, I disagree with you on the what you said about Ireland. If you go to rural Ireland, depending on certain villages, you might have a safe type. Our cities are not safe. Our cities are not safe, and people need to wake up to this. And some of our towns are not safe. The fact that schools in Kerry, as well as schools in Dublin, were sending out abduction warnings to parents, that is not a safe nation. I'm in Dublin from time to time. Dublin was, as someone who got mugged when I was 16 or 17 in Dublin a long time ago, Dublin always had problems, but you'd still walk around it, and you might take a wrong turn and something, you might get just take your wallet or something like that. There is a different level of danger in our cities now. It's not like it used to be, where you can get robbed by a junkie. There'd be no violence. They'd just stick the pin up against the wall, stick their hand in your pocket, and take your wallet. And I've had it happen to me. The cities are not safe environments now. There are a different level of people and that are capable of different levels of violence that we're not used to. This is the main thing about multiculturalism. Life isn't valued the same in different parts of the world, and people need to be aware of that and accept it. And do you know what? You can say all the names, oh, that's racist. Bollocks is all I have to say to that.
It's nothing to do with race, Martin. It's to do with culture, multiculturalism. This idea that all cultures are equal is
they're not.
It's false. It's completely false. Some guy said there, do you say me that kind of culture produced by ISIS is the same produced by Ireland? Of course they're not the same. They're completely, the value system, the value that they put on life, on stability, is completely and utterly different. One culture, you can have 5 wives, another you can only have 1. How women are treated in one culture is completely different how women are treated in another. But you're right. You know what we've witnessed in the last number of weeks of attempted child abductions is, I believe, even a short period time ago, is unthinkable, virtually unheard of in Ireland. And they see it also like taken off. Like, it's shocking. It really is shocking. But like, geographically, Ireland still can be a beautiful place. But you know what? We have to act very, very quickly, because our country has been robbed and destroyed in front of our eyes, and we've got a short window of opportunity to get it back and to make the changes that are necessary to make Ireland safe again. That's a great hashtag, make Ireland safe again, because we really have to.
And Herman, it's funny because, you know, when I sat down last week, I told you that I stepped away from my job to stand up and run. I had to have that chat at home, but because of, I think, nearly them videos of the attempted abductions and them reports nearly pushed me over the line where I just couldn't sit easy. And I think that maybe happened for a few candidates who came to the board late in the day, because it was either step into politics or it was encouraging vigilantism. And that's the way I saw it, because there was no other option of sitting easy. I know there is a member, a portion of society who can sit easy and bury their head in the sand, but we're not about that. We obviously know that, you know, children's lives in Ireland, like, it's surely the biggest priority we have. Like, this is what we're doing it for. We're doing it so they can buy houses when they grow up, our kids, so they can be safe. They don't have to be indoctrinated when they go to schools. You know, all these things are happening now, and they're happening fast. And this is why I suppose we have to react fast. And like, how do you see the solution rolling out? Let's say, you know, we're doing good. Like, people are with the national parties. So say all goes well, local elections. We know there's going to be a general election soon. How do you see the solution end of this rolling out?
Well, I'm pleased to say that we've more than doubled the number of candidates we had in the previous election. We've now got 27 local election candidates for the Irish Freedom Party. We've got there's three constituencies for the European elections. We've got 3 candidates for there. So we get 30 candidates overall. Everybody in the country can vote for an Irish Freedom Party candidate somewhere. We have some very high quality. They're not just loons or just randoms. Like, there's a lot of very high quality candidates among them. So I'm very pleased. 1, the number, 2, the quality. Look, we have to get out in the next 3 weeks. We have to canvass, get the posters up, get on in the local media, get on the regional radio where we can, get the word out that this is one of the most important elections. You know, it's not about the minutiae of this law is good, that law is good. It's the basic question should be, do we want a future? Does Ireland have a future as a country? Do you believe that, you know, do you want an Ireland or not? Or do you want us to disappear, and the Irish nation to disappear into the sands of history, as other nation states have before historically? So it's all hands on deck time. And I would actually encourage and plead with people to speak to your family, your friends, your neighbours, and tell them about the Irish Freedom Party. And if there's nobody else there, an alternative nationalist party or independents, tell them, look, this is important. Ireland needs you, and we need to do something about it rapidly and strongly. So we have to take this opportunity to send a clear message to the political class that all this stuff about uncontrolled, unvetted immigration and multiculturalism and corruption of children in schools and destroying the family, removing the hope of young people to get a house and get a job in Ireland, and that they would have to emigrate. It's all got to stop. We've got to put Irish men and women and children first in our own country, and we've had enough of being paddy last, because this idea that they're going to flood our country, make us a minority, is got to stop. And it's got to stop very, very quickly. And we've got to really stop the money pipe, because it's free, that all these people are attracted by free stuff, free accommodation, and free money. All the free stuff has got to stop. And if it continues, we've got to really reflect and thinking, should we change from being a a non-contributory welfare system to a contributory system, because all these freeloaders, once the money taps is closed, all the freeloaders would disappear.
Yeah.
What do you see in terms
Just,
of we're talking about the?
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Martin. Go ahead.
Well, no,
go
fire
ahead,
away,
Martin.
fire away. No, I'm just going to say to Liam, just in relation to the plantation in Clonmel, it ties back into what you're saying there, Herman. Like the money is there to provide housing and emergency accommodation and hotels and all this kind of stuff. And the question is, like, you know that what's happening in Clonmel, wouldn't that be absolutely fantastic for Irish people if you were to put young married couples with 1 or 2 kids starting off in life into something like that? Say, there you go, you can have that for 2 or 3 years while you save, and after you save, then you know what I mean. You get out and give it to the next couple, but it would take the rent pressure off you for 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? And like I said, that could be suitable for bigger families, but for young couples starting off, imagine getting that foot on the ladder. Give you 2 or 3 years to save. It's not going to be council housing. We'll give you a shed. You don't have to pay rent in it. You fill it. You furnish yourself. You buy your own bed, your own dishwasher, all that kind of stuff. You pay your own utilities. But we're just going to take the burden of rent off you for a couple of years to give you the opportunity to save. And if you don't save, that's on you. Out you get, because there's another couple coming behind you. But the fact that the government have shown us it can be done and can be done quite easily, but they've decided to do it for non-nationals. They've decided to do it for non-nationals, but not Irish people. It's actually disgusting. It's absolutely, yeah.
I think that's what's vexing people, Martin. I think that's what's causing vexation amongst the public, especially taxpayers. Like they're trying to save for a house or an apartment or whatever it is, and they're finding it impossible. Like you can't save and pay rent at the same time, and yes, you have people who we don't know being brought over and being showered with a new house, €800 a month payment while they're working full time as well. And yet the Irish people can't get that. So that's what's causing a lot of anger with people. I would just have one question for the two of you, because I know the two of you have been out doing canvassing. So the local councillors in Clonmel are telling people on Tip FM that migration is a very small issue they're hearing at the doorstep, right? I want to ask the two lads here who have been out canvassing, is that the same experience you've had?
Do you want to go first, Herman?
Absolutely not. No, the thing that really, I think housing and immigration, which are very, very closely linked. One thing that really surprised me, like you enter into this thing of a practice of canvassing with a certain mindset and what you believe, but then you're confronted by different reality. And the thing that actually really surprised me was that it wasn't kind of middle-aged people or who were the big and hardcore complainers. It was actually young couples with young children in their late 20s and early 30s who are absolutely livid. And I mean, they're livid that they are struggling. They're doing their very best. They're working all the hours of God sends that they can try to get a house and find it very difficult. Many of them have been on the social housing list for years waiting to get a house. But anyway, I met one couple there, but I really find it's young couples who see the injustice that they're working their backside off. They're trying their very best to get ahead in life, get a house. And yet they see up the road, people being moved in, Georgians, Afghanistanis, moved into houses, have never contributed a bean in their life. They're not working. So they're not working. They're getting free stuff. And yet Irish people are working their backsides off trying to get a roof over their head for the children. That makes them incredibly angry. So I believe that the Irish government will really feel, or they really should feel, the full force of people's anger come election time. And if they don't take the opportunity to send a message to official Ireland, really, they're not doing their duty as responsible people.
Herman, there's a question there. Could Ireland ever have a referendum vote to leave the EU? Is that something that could possibly be on the table?
Of course, but you got to be realistic and say that it's important because it has to do with the sovereignty of the Irish people over all their laws, right? At the moment, because of qualified majority voting, we are, as a population which is less than 1% of the EU population in total, like Sean Kelly, for instance, says 70% of our laws come from Brussels. Now, they would be made by people from other countries as 1% of the population. So these laws can be imposed upon Ireland and the Irish people without our consent, and there's nothing we can do about it. And that is almost like the definition of tyranny, when people you don't elect, who aren't accountable to you, making laws, pushing them upon you. And of course, these laws are made in the interest of France and Germany and Italy, etc. Yes, but I do believe that it's fair that basically we are looking for a referendum for the Irish people. Now, it could be in 15 years' time, could be in 10 years' time, but it's a long-term goal, and it's not going to happen immediately. But I think it's respectful and honest to people to say that, look, if we want control of our laws and our budgets and our borders, we can't, and our trade policy and our control of our fishing waters, what's good for the Irish people, that we can only do that as a sovereign independent state rather than part of a political union where we have 1% of the population, 1% of the votes in the Council of Ministers. But all these things, that's a long-term goal. But the immediate problem we have is the political class gung-ho in favour of mass immigration, and that Irish people are treated as second-class citizens in our own country. And that's got to stop, and it's got to stop immediately. And we've got to send a clear message. Boys, this good time, this stuff, like look at and there's a few traders who are making a killing out of millions. Look, I don't name people, but you know some of the names. There's a guy up in Monaghan there with his family. They've cleared 130 million over the last number of years because all taxpayers' money. So we're getting up, going to work in the morning to pay taxes, and those taxes, at the behest of politicians, are going to a small number of people who are probably, I suspect, closely affiliated with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, etc. And you know what? It's just not on.
Yeah, we have that here, even in Carlow as well. There's one or two names that have got together who were already bigwigs who kind of owned the town, who are just closing places down and renovating the upstairs, and they're just filling them with Ukrainians and whatever else just to line their pockets. And even on a small scale, like we moved out of our house in January to move her father who's sick at the moment, and we went to rent this house. By no way, 2 months we had nobody in it, and I had 8 or 9 Ukrainians message me so they can go in. I have this 800 quid a month and all that kind of thing. And I said, there's no way in the world I'm going to do that. And people are saying it's easy money, you're stuck for young kids. And so, like, you cannot think like that. And we are just the average people who could do with the money better than these guys. But these guys are just lining their pockets. There's a guy here, and I won't say his name, but he owns half the town now because he keeps buying more and more from the money he's making. And people are calculating how much money is this guy actually making. But if the small B&Bs and people were able to say, you know what, we'd rather sink and pick up a new profession than to people need to stop doing it. The big guys aren't going to stop doing it. And people are saying you can't blame the hospitality sector has been tough in the last while. I said, well, we can all see the quality's gone down. They don't even want the Irish people's custom anymore. The prices have gone through the roof. The price of food's gone up. The service has gone down. The culture from inside out has been destroyed for the Irish people. Tourism to local towns has been destroyed, and I can see these too. There's talks of Ukrainians that are here who got apartments in Carlow, who are now back in Ukraine renting out them apartments to other people, to Irish people in Ireland, and that's real. There's 2021 Skodas going around Carlow with Ukrainian flags on them, and I'm not just saying it's just Ukrainians, because obviously there's a real threat. We're talking about these abductions that happened the last couple of weeks. In some of these African countries as well, and it's terrible to say, but child trafficking is the biggest business they have. And this is the scary element, but it's the reality that people need to realize, and they should be worried about it too, because this is why people are standing out trying to stop this as much as they can, because we don't know where these people are coming from, and they're coming from dangerous countries that you wouldn't go to on your holidays, and they're coming here.
It should be noted. It should be noted that we're talking about Africa as African countries being dangerous countries. There's a brilliant 2014 article on Ukraine in the Guardian newspaper that everybody should read. In 2014, Ukraine was classed as the child exportation, child porn capital of the world. So child traffic. Ukraine is a corrupt country, and you can dig into it. It's very easy to find information on it. Right? They had a war. We won't. You can get involved in going down the rabbit hole and stuff like that. But all the information is there. But up to 2014, Ukraine was the child exploitation capital of the world, and it's such a corrupt country. There was trafficking for organs stuff going on there, and there's loads of documentaries out there on it. Look, they have a massive Nazi problem. I mean, real proper Nazis are operating in Ukraine. So, like, we say we often look at the Middle Eastern countries and we look at the African countries and stuff like that. Ukraine is a dangerous country full of extremely dangerous people, and is extremely corrupt. And the people who wanted to dodge the draft over there, which were probably a lot of them criminals that didn't want to fight for their country or weren't originally from there, they're all here now. They're in Ireland now.
I remember roughly 6 months after the whole thing started. I remember there's a law that men between, I think, 18 and 60 or 65, I can't remember, 60, I believe, were not allowed to leave because they were supposed to be a fighting age and not to leave.
Yeah.
Like the Irish government 6 months after into the war were saying 39% of the Ukrainians come to Ireland were young men. Yeah. So even by their own estimation, we are being scammed. That like almost 40% of the people are young males of fighting age men are coming here. So like, and then of course we all seen the pictures where they're from Kashmir or Africa, Africanian. Like, sorry, we're being scammed. Look, we got it, and like it's good that there is an increasing number of people who are standing up. It looks great that so many people have put themselves forward as candidates, willing to speak up clearly in defense of their children, their neighbors, their nation. And you know what? We're not stupid. We know we're being scammed, and it's leading to a very dangerous situation. And we need to get rid of the political class that we have, because they really are destroying our country.
Yeah,
it's almost natural that lazy people who are offered free stuff, they're going to come in. If they keep on getting free stuff, they're going to keep on coming. So we just, as I said, turn off the tap, and we got to change the political class in charge, or they're going to replace us. Simple as that. Simple as that.
Yeah, and you know, it's a tough message to sell. You know, if you're out canvassing, for people who aren't really aware of, we've gone into, you know, the depths of the plans for years of, you know, diluting the culture and trying to govern it under a one UN government, let's say, or whatever way they're trying to roll out what they're trying to roll out. And you can see the replacement end of it. But, you know, when you're talking to older people, maybe you're knocking at the doors and you're talking to younger people who aren't tuned into that. And part of that, I think, is set up that, you know, inflation, they both have to work now. They're running around and they don't even have the time to be tuned into these things anymore. And I've heard people say that to me, you know what, I understand what you're saying, but you know, I'm too busy. I'm just going to look after my own patch. And that, unfortunately, just doesn't get anything done in the long run. But it's, you know, securing the communities, I suppose, is, you know, a one-on-one you can talk to people at their door about, and keeping the Irish first, and finding properties that can be made available for new time buyers to come up, and trying to do that in your local constituency for the moment until, you know, as best we can, and hear out the problems on each door and the commonalities and what people are asking for. Like the big risk here now with Clonmel, like I'm sure, Herman, you've probably seen all around the country when you're canvassing going around.
Castlereagh today in Roscommon, it's the same problems.
Yeah, they're getting less and less secure. People are worried and they don't know why this is happening. And, you know, we're the people who are trying to stop it from happening. I think that's why the big thing is, that's a big difference here, is that, you know, these guys in Sinn Féin and Fine Gael and Fine Gael, and even the paid media, I don't know how they put their suits on in the morning and go outside and think they're actually doing anyone a service. You know, they're lining their pockets. How they can sleep at night, I don't understand. You know, there's no purpose there at all. You know, these people who are standing up now. Yeah, like these people are standing up now are the people who actually care about the country.
countries run the same way a business is run. And I'll give you a quick example of. Imagine the conversation that happened in Bud Light when they decided they would have that Dylan Mulvaney as their spokesperson for an American beer, like, you know what I mean? So a group of people living in such an echo chamber, sitting around backslapping each other for having such a good idea, genuinely thought they had no doubts that this would actually be a fantastic idea, because, you know, that's the kind of echo chamber they live in. We put a dude dressed as a woman on a man's beer can, and you saw what it did. And I can tell you from working in, we'll say, these kind of environments where there are people around boardrooms making decisions, they live in echo chambers. They have no more idea what the frontline staff do. It's the same in the HSE, it's the same in everything. The people making decisions are so far removed from, I always say, the filth of life. And the filth of life is a good thing, because it makes us strong, and it teaches us how to be men, and teaches mothers how to be good mothers, and us to be good husbands, and etc. etc. These people have never ever experienced it. They've had a silver spoon since the day they were born. They all went to private schools. They all went to upper end colleges and universities. These people are so far removed from real life, they can't even comprehend. You know what I mean? They really do look at us as the filthy plebs, like. And that's a lot of the problem, that a lot of the decisions are being made by people. You go back 30, 40 years, you would have politicians that actually came from working class or working class people who became politicians. You know what I mean? And most of them ended up getting corrupted anyway, but such is life. But they had actually done an honest day's work in their life. Our current political class have not.
But
that is the reality. Oh, sorry.
But just to echo your sentiment there, Martin, you're absolutely right about these echo chambers. Like, I imagine some sort of a conversation took place in the county council offices in Clonmel, where they wanted to situate this development, and they had a look around the locality, and they said, there's a grand stretch of land up there owned by the HSE up by the Horton side. We'll put them up there because the residents up there are sick of the Horton side anyway, so they won't complain too much about it. But yet, I guarantee you, if you've done some research around the country and you looked at where all these locations are being picked out, there's none of them within distance of a local councillor, because they don't want to know.
Look what happened when the tents hit D4.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's the exact same thing. It's that we have a class problem in this country, and there's only two classes. There's the political class and everybody else, and that's something that needs to be actually. Funnily enough, I think the last time that happened was around the French Revolution time, wasn't it? How did the political class end up then?
Yeah.
So that's the reality of what they're walking themselves into. Like the fact that as soon as the tents hit the leafy suburbs, there was Ivana Balik and Hazel Chew straight on TV going, "Oh, we don't have the services. Oh, we don't have this. Oh, it's unfair. It's this, that, and the other." All the usual media rubbish. But it's okay to stick 300 men out in the middle of nowhere in a tiny village where the migrants outpopulate the natives, 3 to 1. So these people disgusting. They're absolutely disgusting. And Liam, I put it into the group. I spoke to Richie Malloy. I sat beside him. We were at a hustings, and I sat beside him, and I asked him to. Well, first of all, I turned around and I apologized for pissing on his patch, because I'd been in Clonmel, and he kind of laughed at that. And then I said to him, I said, "Are you going to meet with them?" And he said that no, somebody else was supposed to organise the meeting, the meeting with the people of Clonmel, and it essentially wasn't his problem. And I said, "Would you not go up there anyway?" And he just kind of smiled and gave me this strange look. And I said, "You need to engage with these people." And there was no way in the world he was going to commit to speaking to you, meeting with you, and just basically nothing to do with me, not my problem. And that's as a public representative, that's disgraceful.
We've tried numerous times to engage with him, and we just keep getting a stonewall. But what I will say is, I found interesting. He went on to Tib FM 2 weeks ago now at this stage, and I believe he had a Freudian slip on live on air, because he said they were promised a migration. Like, I mean, who promises that? Like,
You know what's surprising to me is the level of cultural self-hatred. I call it hibernophobia, the hatred of Irish culture and our people and our freedoms and our sovereignty. It's just among the political elite and the media elite. It's incredible. But we have to get rid of it, and we have to get in a sense of nationhood, And but here we are, Irish nationals, Irish citizens in Ireland, and the laws and the tax system and the way the country is run should be for the benefit of Irish people and the continuation of the Irish nation long, long into the future, rather than this being, or to see our country being run down into the ground by these people who hate us. It was Mick O'Connell who said, once you understand that the government actually hate you and hate your culture and hate the sovereignty of our country, then everything kind of that we're talking about, it all kind of fits into place. Because it is the only rational explanation to explain why the country is run as it is at the moment. So, like, there has to be, we are, what we're participating in is the rising up of the Irish nation again to take back control of our own country for our own good. For too long, it's been run for the benefit of other people, and that's got to stop. So we are participating, and let's enjoy it. Let's work on it. Let's try to get all our friends and our neighbours involved. Let's tell them, look, now is the time to get your face, to put your name and your face and your reputation out there in defence of your family and of your country. Because if it goes on for much longer, the opportunity will slip and there's no comeback from that. So, but we are witnessing. Look at that march there last Monday or whatever on 2 weeks ago at Customs House, went down from Garden of Remembrance. Like when the Irish Freedom Party had the first rally, we had a rally against the UN Migration Pact in, I think it was November 2018, and all we managed was 150 people. And some of those people came from Mayo and Carrick, it wasn't just Dublin. And now, sure, the last time it was at least 10,000 people. So the number of people concerned and willing to publicly express their concern what is happening has increased dramatically. We have to funnel those numbers and that energy into effective work, to get political change in the country. Otherwise, our country will be banjaxed. So let's thank you guys for the people who put themselves forward for election, and we have to get the support and channel that energy and let's say anger as well, I suppose, to get the political change that we need. And I think we need to do it, and we can do it. So let's make sure that we do it.
I think on that as well, I think, Ireland seems to be the pilot country in Europe for bringing in hate speech and to bring in, even immigration seems to be the highest here. Even Ukrainians coming in, it's the highest here. Yeah. But I think they made a mistake in that. Being there, Bank Holiday Monday in Dublin, and seeing the crowd that was there, and the paid opposition across the road of the GPO, and the fact that there was no issues, there's no animosity whatsoever, same as the previous February March, and the flags are waving high, and people were saying their speeches and singing together. I think they made the mistake. They've underestimated Irish pride still, and I'm hopeful in saying that I think our generation is still not far removed, what I said earlier on, from that pride of Ireland. I think that the Irish people are rising up, and we're seeing this now with the amount of people we're walking and we're meeting as we canvass, and the amount of people, like there's almost 1,000 people just listening to us here tonight online. And, people they do want to change. I think they made that mistake piloting this in Ireland because the whole world is watching Ireland now. And I have seen it, there's people here commenting from different countries, from America, from Canada, and they tune in all the time, and they're watching to see, because the fight is on, and we're in the middle of it. I know other countries are too.
Yeah, do you know what? Ireland can be a light in a Europe that has fallen into darkness, because compared to Germany and France and Sweden, for example, Ireland is still in much better shape than these countries are. Like, we haven't become as violent as they have now. It is happening quickly, but I believe that in the next five years or so, we have an opportunity to get our country back, which has been stolen away before our eyes, and we can become and be a light in a Europe that has fallen into darkness. But we got to act quickly, and we have to take the pain while, but campaign the pain like our ancestors were, like, falling into ditches as skeletons during the famine and getting carted off to Australia, getting virtually starved to death, getting beaten by British landlords. Like, all we have to do is take being called names by like the Irish Times and stuff like that. So, like, you know, it's not that difficult. We're not asked to do that much, but we're asked to play our part. So everybody who's got an opportunity to help out during this election, please put yourselves forward. Email the secretary of the party, info@irishfreedom.ie, and offer. You come out and canvass, you give out leaflets, you put up posters, but we gotta get active. Otherwise, it's national. It's going to be a national retirement plan.
Yeah, and people can do it to help, because there is, you know, there's more of us coming, but there's still few, and there's like even the areas, some of the districts are big, so they absolutely could do with people out helping them canvass. So yeah, that's, you know, well said on that end. So
Very good. You know what? I better
Sorry,
go
just gonna
because
say, look, yeah. Go on, Herman, sorry.
no, that's fine.
No, go.
Oh, sorry. Okay, all right. Thanks. All right.
Thanks for jumping on, Herman. Fair play.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much. Thank you. I don't know how do you get off here. What do you do? Can you switch me off, Anthony?
I can. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me and
Yeah.
tolerating me. It's very kind of you.
Fair play.
Spanish Ballet.
Here's
Ian White.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think, you know, what we're hitting on is we're hitting the nail on the head there with a lot of that stuff. And I think, you know, there is that. I think that replacement thing is a real thing, and it's not something you can knock on doors and talk about, really, because you probably are way far out there. But talking about securing the communities and
there is actually a UN document. It was published in 2000. It was a big meeting in New York back then, and there's actually a replacement migration document from the United Nations that spells out everything that's happened here. So 24 years ago, they knew that due to mainly through economic reasons, that the population rate was going to decline massively across Europe. And they came up with this plan. So, well, the two choices, they knew it was going to be economics that was going to make the birth rate decline and families get smaller, because the cost of living had gotten they foresaw it getting so expensive. And they had choices. They could have fixed the economies and made life more livable for Europeans, or you could import cheap labor from the third world. And we all know what they chose. So that document's there. You just go, you type in UN 2000 replacement migration. You can download that document. It's a PDF. It's 400 and something pages. It's a slog to get through, but every single thing that's happening now is spelled out in it. So, like I said,
well, Martin, you know, yeah, they know what they're doing, and everything is written out. And like, I've seen the WEF and the EU signing over to the this Agenda 2030 and all it entails. But even on a local side of things that people don't know, I've seen someone in the comments there from Carlow, and that's close to me. I'm South Kildare, but I'm on the border there, the three counties, and that's where I'm running. But in Carlow, if you went onto the website, and people don't believe this until you actually show them the documents, and there is documents to say that this green agenda is like the whole infrastructure of our towns and cities are going to be completely changed. The same way Oxford was, the same way Paris is being, Dublin. Like if you go on now, anyone listening can go on and look up I actually have a video of it, but the 10-minute towns are calling it in Ireland. There's Tralee, there's Carlow, and there's Ennis, and they're the pilot ones that are getting funded to make it a 10-minute town. And that's only to begin with. Dublin City and Cork are going to be 15-minute cities. And even that side of it, people aren't seeing that. That's coming fast. And this is why they want these electric cars only by 2030. So they can, make these allowances. They're 4 or 5 steps ahead of not ahead of everybody, but they're 4 or 5 steps ahead of
call them what they are, though. They're not 15-minute cities, they're 15-minute prisons. And that's prisons, exactly what they are.
They're open air prisons.
They're not cities. This exists. I mean, just go onto YouTube there and look up how Chinese cities work. That's all you have to do. Chinese cities
are they're implementing
into these blocks. And you can't travel from one area. If your social credit score isn't high enough, you cannot go from one area to the next. And that is the long-term plan. And look,
Yeah,
like I said,
it is.
it's
And look,
there to see.
you know,
see
yeah,
it
this is
online.
it, and it's people don't believe it's happening in Oxford, like, or in UK cities, in Australia cities.
Mhm.
Like, it's the whole thing that
Yeah.
they've signed over with the social credit system that's in China, and this is the big game: is that they are making this a multicultural state so that they can govern them without having nationalist policies, without having constitutions that stop them from doing anything. Everyone signs into the EU, which is tied in with the UN, which is also tied in with the WEF, and they're adopting this whole
We're going
CCTV surveillance
to
state.
be District 7. Yeah. District 7 of the federal states of Europe. That's what Ireland is going to be. That's what our future is. District 7 federal states of Europe.
Okay.
And that
So
is our future.
basically, it's communism by stealth.
Yes.
Communism by what?
Yeah. Communism by stealth. Communism by stealth. Communism is it just changed. It's all communism. And you hear a lot of talk about cultural Marxism and stuff like that, and coming through the universities. But it essentially boils down to a form of communism. It's had to adapt over time. It's not the same as what Karl Marx wanted or the communism in the USSR. They've adapted communism to suit today's life, but it is essentially communism. And you'll have the ruling class, and you'll have everybody else, and that is what we will have. And I suppose the sad thing is that people don't realize it to a certain extent, but a lot of people do realize it, and they're either too frightened or too filled with apathy to do anything about it. You know what I mean? That people, as Hermann said,
social worry there as well. Yeah, people are worried what their neighbours going to think, what their colleagues.
There's a group there in Clonmel. Liam's a prime example of what I class as traditional Irish values. You know what I mean? He's standing up for what he believes. He's standing up for his kids' safety. He's standing up for what he believes to be right. And I'm not sure how many people live in your estate, but let's just say there's probably 30 people in the exact same boat as you, with the same income, same family size, the same, you know what I mean? And you're only one of 30 that's standing up, or maybe 2 of 30 that's actually stood up. And that's worrying.
I think, Martin, what has happened is that a lot of people have become too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They've become so comfortable that they don't want to rock their own boat. They don't want to face. They don't want to wake up and see what's happening around them. They want to stay in their bubble.
Yeah. Can I give you another theory, maybe, Liam, and you can let me know what you think on this as well? I think that the whole culture of the TV and the stuff they have in our food has, you can see the fertility rates at the dropping over the last 20 years, and testosterone at the dropping also as well. People have become docile, I think, as well, to a certain degree. And I think that's part of it. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I think there's multifaceted parts of this that has been engineered so that most people will just comply blindly. And I would never have thought that there'd be so much blind compliance as what we saw in the last few years. But there is. And now it's not just blind compliance. It's a blocking of their eyes and burying their head deliberately in the sand of crime rates escalating in Ireland. And this multiculturalism for the safety aspect of it, or the inflation. People are still going to go and vote Fine Gael and Fine Féil, after this country has been destroyed economically. It's bizarre that more aren't standing up to. It's mass psychosis. It's this kind of idea.
It is. It's not only is a mass psychosis, it's mass hypnosis, because
hypnosis is better. Yeah,
as we've seen during COVID, if you keep portraying the same message over and over again on a daily basis, people will believe it.
Yeah, I think you're right there, and I think I think they are battles that we could probably fight in the general election, hopefully. That because there's a video here, and I'm mindful that you might get to see if I play it, but people warning about this the WHO pandemic treaty coming in, and there's a lot of people in the EU Parliament warning about this, that they're going to have all the rights so that when this happens again, and you can see Bill Gates saying this is going to happen again, and Anthony Fauci and all the guys behind it, they're saying this will happen again. It's like they're laying the infrastructure.
Does everybody know that they're in Killarney tomorrow?
Any observers anyway?
Yeah. Do you know that the who are down in the Hotel Europe in Killarney tomorrow?
Yeah.
Are they? Okay.
Beatles will be there. Yeah. The whole kit and caboodle will be down there. Yeah.
Eddie Hobbs has done a fantastic job with that.
Yeah.
Eddie Hobbs, he's done a fantastic job on it so far.
So a lot of high-powered European, if anybody's living in the Kerry area and they want to go down and protest, or if you're Cork or anywhere within driving distance of Killarney and you're free tomorrow morning, get down to the Hotel Europe to tomorrow morning and give Eddie Hobbs some support, because he's been tracking this for a long time. And again, this is just another attack on our sovereignty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you can see, I don't know if you can see the comments coming in, guys. A lot of people are agreeing with what has been said as well. People don't want to rock the boat. There's subliminal messages, this mass hypnosis, but as well, this you people relying on mainstream media. It's funny. Same people are in mainstream media as were there 10 years ago. A lot of them. It's funny how they all just adapted to the narrative. I wonder, are they part of that? Percent that
you normally agree with whoever's paying you. That's human nature. Unless you're odd like me and a couple of other people, and you've nothing but disdain for the people that are paying you.
Yeah, but the local battles are there. We have Kildare says no. We have Coolock says no. We have Castlereagh. We have Clonmel says no. The local fights are there, and they have been turned around. Newtown, McKenny. There's a lot of places that have been getting great results from going out there and peacefully protesting. And I think this is, the case in Clonmel. You can see again, they're not a violent crowd. They're out there and they're supporting the people who are down in their tools, and they're being there. I think what's happened there is it's a great example as well. And I believe I've seen videos of camps that have been set up tonight and a protest there for 6 o'clock in the morning as well. If anyone can hear it is, they're asking for as many people as they can to get down to Clonmel for 6 in the morning. So I think, in fairness to yourselves, we all watching it closely as well tomorrow, Liam.
The thing about it is, like, it's since I don't have a background in this at all. I'm just somebody that lives in the state, and it's on my doorstep. And I work full time. My partner works, and the child is in school. You're doing this voluntarily on your own time, but like, you get called a lot of names, and the one that comes up the whole time is, "Have you no job to go to?" Like, people deny you sometimes. Like, you're like, I give an example. We all went out and protested over the water charges, right? But you still had people who were lining up to pay it, and they would be paying it today only for people like me who went out and protested against it. Like, it just, your mind boggles, like.
Yeah, that's a prime example of how they got it done by protesting. The fact that, the worrying thing was, we saw in Newtown, Mount Kennedy, how, the guard reacted to the people, and there was, we call it out for what it was. There was elderly people who were beaten there, and pepper sprayed. I think the message there was, send them a message that, this is what could happen to you if you go out and peacefully protest. And I think it didn't work, because following that, we had a massive turnout in Dublin City, where everyone was still peaceful, and they made their points and they said their piece. And I think people are ignoring what the messages are coming now. I actually think the wave has turned, has changed a bit now, and I don't know if you two agree, but there is another issue in Ireland of excess debts, and this has been put to Leo Varadkar at the time 2 years ago, and he said we understand there is that, and we're looking into it. But most people will tell you, "Oh, there's no excess debts in Ireland. What are you talking about? That's conspiracy stuff." Yeah. But the numbers are there, and the Taoiseach, has confirmed it, and we've seen it. People who are awake are seeing it. I'm sick of hearing this thing. You just wonder what happened there. She's only 42. And it's kind of like, it's a sickening thing. But that is a big problem with our medical council in this country, and that will have to be addressed too.
So a lot of the data that was being tracked for excess debts in Ireland, this is funny, because a lot of the researchers were using RIP.ie, which has now been bought by the Irish Times.
That's
which
right,
is funded, which is funded by the Irish state. No, there's no conspiracy theories. It's all there for play to see. Just on that, a mother of a friend of one of my youngest son was 15. She passed away yesterday. She's, I think, mid 40s, maybe late 40s. That's probably the 10th or 12th person I know in that age bracket that's passed away in the last 2 years. It's happening up and down the length and breadth of the country.
The plaster here yesterday.
Suddenly,
plaster here yesterday, and his son-in-law, 42, perfectly healthy last year, and turned, and I do like there is a way, though. It's not all doom and gloom either. And I did have a video of Peter McCullough, who's a leading virologist and cardiologist, talking about 3 things you can buy that can get rid of the spike protein in the bodies. I think this needs to be shared so much. I try to share this wherever I go. And there's definitely people who are like, oh yeah, I might get that. I'll see, and all that. Like if, I personally didn't take a COVID vaccine, but if I had and I'd seen all this stuff coming out, I think I'd be jumping on them 3 supplements to get them as quick as I could. And I before I go off air, I will play that video because I think it's so essential people do get it. I know it's not part of what we're canvassing for and like that, but we're just talking about
it's still something that needs to be addressed. I think actually it's funny enough. I was having this conversation with my dad today. Both my parents took the vaccine, and I tried to talk about it, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But they're obviously aware now, and he was actually asking me, do I know where you can get ivermectin? Ivermectin is actually available in Spain now. You can buy it in Spain. You still have to get it into the country somewhere, because I know that when people were trying to order it, customs were taking it. So, but it is available in Spain. So if you go on holidays or you know somebody living in Spain and stuff like that, you can't buy ivermectin out there. But the other one was is a seed oil or something like that, or not a seed oil. I can't remember. It's gone from me now. There's a liquid you can take as well. But the McCullough protocols are excellent, and
McCullough protocols. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they're very they're fantastic. And these guys like himself and Dr. Pierre Corey and Dr. Malone, there was fantastic guys that fought all through COVID, and they were banned and they were ostracized and stuff like that. Every single thing they said has come to pass. It's true. Every single thing they said has turned out to be true. And it seems, the truth is taking 3 to 4 years to actually get to the forefront. Now the media can seem to be able to sit on the information for about 2-3 years, but after that, then it just starts creeping. It's like a snowball effect, and once something gets out, some more reputable, honest journalists go digging, and then it gets into a small publication, and then eventually makes it to mainstream media. Yes, but like I'd be very interested in watching that video. And again, I'm not vaccinated. I was still playing rugby during COVID, and I was one of 40 players that didn't get vaccinated, and I was obviously
not 40. Wow.
40 players, all got vaccinated. I was the only unvaccinated person in the dressing room. And
I think that's nearly the ratio you were seeing, because the guys the only one in my family.
All young men that didn't need to take it, all fit, healthy. Do you know what I mean? Just the least likely people to need to take it, but guess what? They wanted to go to the pub.
Yeah, well, and people say that I need to go to the pub, I want to go on holidays, I had to, this, that, and the other. It really was a test there, I think, as well. But the important thing is, and look, hopefully a lot of people have understood. I see RTE are still, and they're going to do this in the fall as well. They're going to keep pushing it, and they're still pushing it. This is the scary thing, which is a frustrating thing. And this was, I have to say, it was one of the things that really drove me mad during it. Seeing them push it and trying to get a pass for 6-month-olds, and no, it doesn't pass through the breast milk. Oh, actually, it does, and it's all this kind of thing where we're seeing. Was AstraZeneca last week was taken off
the market,
the market worldwide, but we had them in Ireland pushing that, to 6-month-olds, and we were the crazy ones, and people still, it's only part of it. I think there is
the propaganda techniques are exactly the same, though, in relation to what media is peddling in relation to immigration. It's the exact same type of non-stop propaganda. Oh, we need the immigration. There are doctors, there are nurses, blah blah blah. It's the exact same type. it's so in your face. It's coming through the airwaves, it's coming through the TV, it's coming through your social media. I mean, I don't know, does anybody else notice, but the amount of government-funded ads on your social media, on your, if you're scrolling through Facebook or Twitter or something like that, like the government is spending a fortune on ads in relation to immigration and certain NGOs as well, the INAR and stuff like that. Actually, I have an interesting story to tell you. Have we got time?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what the INAR is? The Irish National Against Racism or something like that. I can't even remember what it stands for. It's a nonsense NGO anyway, with George Soros funding, and it is the document that they put out. The CEO of it, I think, I can't remember his first name, but I think his surname is Curry, but he's a Marxist, and there's documents out there where he's actually typed where I'm a Marxist, he's a communist. But this is one of these NGOs, and it's the document they attached to try and force all of the potential election candidates to sign off this NGO document, anti-racism document. And the content of the document is actually fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't disagree with anything that's in it. But the fact that a government organisations, so the Tipperary Public Partner Network sent me an invite to a hustings, and this document was attached. And to attend the hustings, you had to agree. They didn't say you had to sign it. You just had to confirm that you agreed to everything that was on it, it's a digital signature. So I said, no, I'm not signing that. And I said, here are my reasons. I do not believe the INAR to be a reputable organisation, and you're asking me to sign a third-party document. And I gave them some examples of why they're not reputable, where the funding came from. So they've disinvited me to this hustings now. So you've got loads of different levels of political interference there. So the government have attached this to these invitations for a reason, because they know that most national candidates have said, we will not sign this document because it is not a reputable organisation. It's a far left, George Soros funded, now they get other funding as well as the Soros funding, and run by a Marxist. After they disinvited me, I obviously sent a nice email back saying, well, you're actually, you're a government organisation, you're government funded, you're infringing on my civil rights, the usual thing. It was very polite and very nice. I just gave them examples again, with the content isn't the problem. It's the organisation. You're asking me, before I'm even elected, to sign away some of my personal sovereignty to a third party organisation. And so that's not democracy. So that's fine. It's kind of up in the air. The person who invited me sent me another email with a different document, a government document attached, with pretty much the same stuff in it. And I said, well, I have no problem with that whatsoever. And then I've asked the question, well, why wasn't this sent out with the original invitation? I probably won't get a response till Monday. But it's good that people should know that, as well as what you see in front of you and the media coming after us and stuff like that, there's a lot of things happening in the background as well that are trying that stifle election candidates in relation to actually getting out there, having a level playing field with the other candidates, getting on radio interviews. We're having a very, very hard time getting radio interviews for all our candidates across the board. But it's interesting that they would attach this document, knowing full well that any kind of a nationalist candidate whatsoever would not ever sign anything from the INAR, because we know who they are and we know what they are, they are the absolute. They're nefarious. That's the best way to describe it. They're a nefarious, nasty organization. And like I said, the content of the document isn't the issue whatsoever. It's who is pushing it, and more importantly, why they're pushing it. Cheers, that. Thanks for that. It's a rant.
Yeah, no, fair play. That was well said as well. And I think that's what people have to realize as well when we're going out knocking on doors, and the people like Liam who are standing up for their community. These are the people who are tarred as dangerous. I don't say the word far right again. It's so sickening to say even, but the thugs, the dole day out kind of thing they said about the march, even though there's 15 or 20,000 people there. But at the end of the day, the current government are allowing the excess deaths. They're allowing the likes of what's happened in Clonmel happen. They're allowing the crime to go up. They're, allowing their citizens and older citizens to be displaced in nursing homes, to be beaten down on the streets. When you really look at who is, and like that, they're tarnishing down any bit of democracy when we have nationalist candidates stepping forward. There's billboards being ripped down left, right, and centre, allegedly. But there's a lot of talk of that. Even people getting assaulted, and not from the people. So it's from other candidate members and other parties, not other candidate members, but other parties. But it just shows who are really the kind of psychopaths in this are these people who are pushing these things along at no concern of safety, or no concern of democracy, no concern of any rights, and they have immunity. The EU are allowing them to do it. Who's going to step in? We're going to stand up and say, look, put us in power. If we get this massive turnaround, put us in your local elections. We'll try our best to protect the community, and if not, we'll get in touch with the next town over. Our representatives there, they'll come down. We'll have strength in numbers, and we do have strength in numbers. And Liam mentioned it there with the water charges. So many people stood up against that. It reversed it. It can be done, and we can reverse these things bit by bit with enough people power behind us.
Yeah, I think it's great having big, massive protests in places like Dublin, where you have 20,000 people showing up. But what should happen, I think, is that in every large town and city, there should be an organised day of protests outside government buildings at the same time. Not everyone has time to travel to Dublin for a protest, but if you make it a national thing, like in Clonmel, like in Carlow, like in Kildare, all these places that have town halls, on the same day, on the same time, have your protests. Because the RTE can't say then that there was only 15,000 people there, because it was a nationwide thing. That's what should happen.
Yeah. It's a good call, Liam. I think it's a good show. Lads, I really appreciate you coming on. Martin, it was great to meet you, and Liam as well. I'm sure we'll talk.
Anthony, best luck with the campaign, Anthony.
Yeah, and same to yourself. And best of luck, Liam, out there in Clonmel, and Martin, indeed. And I'll finish off with, I'll drop you down, and I'll talk to you again, and I'll finish off with the Steve McCullough protocol. So, lads, appreciate that. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks, lads. Thanks, lads. I'm going to put on that video there now. Fair play.
Been accepted now for publication will come out. Base spike detox means it's a base of therapy. You can add other things to it, but we think it's necessary in everybody. We need two ways to degrade the protein, get it out of the body. First is nattokinase, N-A-T-T-O-K-I-N-A-S-E, 2,000 units twice a day. The second is bromelain, 500 milligrams once a day. They both degrade the spike protein different ways. They accelerate the clearance of it together. And the last is something to reduce inflammation and spike protein damage. That is curcumin, either in the nano or liposomal form is fine. Curcumin, 500 milligrams twice a day. All of these are available over the counter. They are readily available. And I can tell you, people ought to get going on this, because these syndromes, as we're finding out, are bad. Look at these cardiac arrests, major blood clots, people going down. It's because the spike protein is not being cleared out of the body. People can take control of their own bodies and get after this.
That's it, guys. Look, I'm finished up there tonight. Again, I'm going to be running as a Irish Freedom Party candidate in the South Kildare, which is Athy, it's Ballytor, it's Moon, it's Castledermot, it's Narramore. There's a big span there. So you'll be seeing me out there shortly as well. And I hope everyone enjoyed the talk tonight. And we'll see you again. This chat will be available on my Rumble, because YouTube have taken it down afterwards. But I hope everyone enjoyed the chat tonight, and we'll talk to them again. Thanks, guys.